All right. Hello, everybody. We are back again. This time, we are doing the speed brake panel. Technically, this is the second time I'm filming it. The first time I filmed it all vertical. I apologize, that was rough. So, now we are filming it the right way. Horizontally. Everything's in the picture. Looks good. All right. So, we're going to start out by make sure you have everything 3D printed. I printed all mine in PETG. I will say, though, for this piece, which is the piece that is for your arming and disarming of the speed brake, and for the movement of the speed brake, it goes into here, which you'll see how this all goes together in a little bit. But for this piece, the hole was too small on mine, so I had to drill it out a little bit. It really should have come out like this middle hole right here to allow these grub screws to go in there a lot easier. So I had to drill mine out with a little bit with a little bitty drill bit with my Dremel. So you might have to do that on this piece. So just kind of look out for that and make sure that it all fits nice and snug, because otherwise it's going to be a pain in the butt to get this thing together. Now for this, let's do a little bit of testing real quick. Let's see. Yeah, that's going to fit. It's going to be really snug, but it'll fit and it'll be good. So these are all the 3D printed pieces you need, plus the top frame is what I'm going to call it, and the bottom frame. So we're going to start with the bottom frame. We're going to start with these pieces right here too, because these support or structure pieces need to go to this, because they give it some more strength. Because you see that's not really bending compared to this. That's pretty flimsy just by itself. So it's got 4 pins on it, 4 holes, and they all line up. Now what I'm going to do, oh, I forgot it, my super glue. I'll go grab it here in a second. But we're going to super glue these together, and these keep sticking to my finger because I use glue stick on my build plate for PETG just to help it come off a lot easier. So don't think it's anything crazy, it's just glue stick on these. Let me go grab my super glue real quick, and then we'll go over all the parts that I have as far as materials and stuff go. So one of my favorite things to use is, you can use any super glue really, but I use this Loctite professional liquid super glue. Oops, there we go. This one's my favorite. Whoop, geez Louise, sorry, I almost fell off my seat. I'm just sitting in the garage in a stool. But we'll take this. This is a used container, very well used. I don't have a whole lot left in here either, but the tip is kind of getting to where it's irritating. It's getting really clogged. I have another bottle, so I'll have to open it up eventually. But what we'll do is we'll take a little bit of super glue. We don't need anything crazy, because when these plastics touch each other, which that is actually probably a little much, my bad. When they touch each other with that super glue, they basically instantly adhere to each other. So just do a little bit of pressing. I'm looking around because I'm trying to see if you're seeing a lot of super glue squirting out, to where if it does, just let it dry, and then you'll have to kind of scrape it out with tweezers, with a little drill bit that fits in here just to kind of clean that out. Or actually, you could use a little file set too, that would work, just if it leaks out, which mine looks fine. I don't see any on the outside either. And don't worry about, excuse me, sorry guys. Don't worry about your prints being, super, super perfect. This is a mechanical piece of hardware. We're not, it's not a beauty piece. This looks good. This looks good. And as long as it works good, that's our desired outcome. It's about the function. Let's do a little bit up there. And this will be, whoop, geez Louise. This will be the only thing that I super glue on here. I know in his instruction, whoops, see, I missed the holes. Okay, let me pick this up. Jeez, there we go. I know in his instructions, he says to super glue these little pins. Excuse me, guys, I just ate, so I apologize if I'm burping. I apologize. To super glue these little pins in, to like into this piece. Whoops. That one came out because it stuck to my finger, but see, it's not going to really come out. That's a little loose, so I might actually super glue that in. Make sure it's your final time, though, but they go in this piece, and they go in here. which this one's actually a little bit tighter. And they help guide these pieces up and down these slots right here. So this big piece goes in here, the little one goes up here, which, like I said, we'll get to all that when we start getting this thing put together. Just let me take this pin out. Oof, there we go. Oh, ignore these screws. They don't go to this. They go to something else I'm working on special to show everybody. So, geez, excuse me. So for this, let me put my super glue cap back on. So for this, we're going to need a bunch. Again, this is like the #1 used screw, but it's the M3, so M3 by 10, whoops, by 10, what are these called? Socket cap. I have a whole thing right here. This is another kit that I had to end up buying to get some more. But we're going to use these M3 by 10s socket cap screws to start putting a lot of this together. So like this piece and this piece go together, which also, if you remember, if you watch the flaps video, you'll notice how that piece has, the side pieces have different angles. Well, this does as well. So if you want to know which way you need to line stuff up, you just look at it based on these angles. So when they line up, it should be nice and smooth like that. If you have it wrong, which this would be wrong, it doesn't, see, it's not smooth. It's got that weird angle to it. You know, that's not going to work. That should line up with this, which is the top cap. And if you see, sorry, let me try to get it as lined up as I can. See how that kind of just rolls off with it? That's perfect. That's what you want. So you'll know that this steeper angle at the bottom here goes here. Plus, if you want a better view, these pieces, these notches, need to go down here towards the bottom as well. Because see, this is going to be the armed, disarmed, armed, disarmed, and then you got to push down, remember to use, or not remember, but to use the speed brake in the real aircraft, you have to push it down and then move it through here. So it'll sit like this, you'll push down to let it go, and then it'll lock in at the halfway point, lock in all the way up there, and then it'll lock back in up here for up, and then you'll pull up, and that'll click in and hit the micro switch that sits right here and trigger it to show armed in the simulator. Which, don't worry guys, I know I didn't show it in in my flaps video on how to program this stuff, but I will show you guys how to program this in Mobiflight for the Phoenix and for the ToLiss series of aircraft. Because the cool thing about the ToLiss series is ToLiss uses like all the same names for their what am I trying to think of? For their aircraft. So they all use the Airbus FBW data refs and stuff. Sorry, I'm replacing those 3 screws with these 3 cap head screws. That way they're all uniform and the same. We're not mixing and matching stuff here. So for this, I am missing a screw right here for my Microswitch. Where in the world did that go? Hold on, y'all. I gotta find that now because that's a very important screw. Sorry if you can see my big old head in there. No, those are for that. What in the world? Oh, I know what happened, y'all. Ha! I know what happened. I accidentally vacuumed it up. It's in my shop back in the other room. I accidentally vacuumed it up. But I know what size it is. And if I don't, I can always use my... I can always use my guide right here, which actually is what I'll do to show you guys. So I use a washer on it to help spread the load, but it is an M2. Tilt it this way. Let's see, what is it? Is it a 12? It is a 12, so it's just an M2 by 12. So let me set that back up there. Let me get another one. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Here it is. So let me get this out of the bag. Perfect. So M2 by 12. And then we need a little washer for it, which these are tiny. So you really got to be careful with how you... Whoops. See, I got 2 right there. Got to be careful getting these out and putting them back. You don't want to lose them. And I'll tell you right now, they will absolutely disappear. That is not a joke. So let me go ahead and put this on here. That is the correct side. Which, there is a side to washers that you want to use against the part. So here, actually, I'll show you guys that too. Let me show you on these bigger ones. So it's actually easier to see. So the way I do washers is this shiny kind of rounded edge side goes up towards the screw. Oops, sorry y'all, I accidentally peeled my nail back. And then this side, this flat kind of rougher side is what I use against the part, like the plastic and stuff, or the bearing or whatever it's going against. To me, I don't know, it's just a aesthetic thing for me. I don't think it makes a difference, but that's how I do it. All right, so to start, we're going to need... Here it is. I knew I had my ruler out here. We're going to need this little piece of tube, which this is, I believe, 7mm or 8mm tube. It should be an 8mm tube. It is. 8mm tube. So you'd need a length of 20... It's supposed to be 24. I'm about 23.5, which is fine. Doesn't have to be 100% perfect. So this piece goes in the very bottom. So we're going to set it in here and just push it through. Don't use your nails like I was about to do. Let's just push it on the table. Get it nice and flat. So let's feel. Yep. So it should be nice and flat. As flat as you can get it. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfectly cut either. Like mine's not 100% perfect. But what I did was I took some sandpaper and just rubbed each side down and then took a file on the inside to clean it up. Excuse me. Just so that way it's smoother, you know, it's not going to just like shred the plastic, and it's not going to cut my fingers if I accidentally, you know, like if I do this. You know, you got to be very careful of that stuff. You don't, you know, your hands can be very fragile, and you can hurt yourself pretty quick with some of this, especially these tubes and stuff. They can really scratch you. So, oh, my bad, I'm sorry. So we're going to take 2 M3 by 6 Grub screws. And we're going to put these in the bottom, which these hold this silver tube in. Which I can't remember what my tube is. I know I have it linked in the documents. I have all the documents in my Google Drive that are linked in the description of these videos. So make sure you look at that. I know it's basically the same thing that he posted. I just have my own that I put in there as well. Because some parts are hard to find. So I try to put links in there for... I put links in there for the UK, Amazon, AliExpress, if that's like the only place you can get the things from. And I have, obviously, the United States Amazon on there. If you guys need other countries or something, just let me know, and I'll try to do my best to find stuff for you. But I figured that would cover quite a bit. I don't know. I know a lot of countries, I think, can order from that in Amazon, or at least it'll be better to start there. And there we go. So you don't need to do crazy. We just want it nice and snug. That pipe is not going to come out. Yeah, no matter what. So, now what we'll do, I would say we'd put the bearings on, but let's not do that yet. Let's go ahead and put one of these sidewalls on, one of these guides on, really is what it is, because it guides the pieces like this and this piece, which has the spring in it, up and down. It guides them up and down. So, for this, we will need 2 of these M3 by 10, if I can grab them, Allen keys. You will need a 2.5, for at least for mine, millimeter Allen key for it. And then these just go in the holes opposite of on the bottom of the grub screw. Now for this, I haven't pre-done these holes, but these holes are pretty well sized. Oops, I kind of went in a little crooked. See how that's crooked? We don't want to do that, so I'm going to back it out, get it straight, and then start going in. Which the good thing is it still had grip in the plastic, so we'll start getting it in there. We're not going to snug it up just yet. We'll snug it up when we get the other one in. So we want to leave it to where we have a little bit of play like that. I'm going to take our other screw, put it on this Allen. Oh, and if you can, get you some T-handled Allens. They are a lifesaver for your hands. I don't have a T-handle that has this little bitty size, unfortunately. Those are hard to find in smaller sizes. But let's go ahead and get this other screw in. Make sure it's nice and flush, which it is. And then you'll turn it until it's snug, and then just give it like a half a turn. Just like that. Because you don't need to do anything crazy. And this plastic did crack. It cracks every time I make this piece. At least on one side, if not both. And that's fine. It's not going to come apart, as you can see. It's not going to do anything. If you're worried about it, you could put super glue in there, but I wouldn't suggest it. Because it could leak in and touch the threads, and then you're almost never going to get that screw out. I mean, you could, obviously, but it's just not worth it. Let's see. So now that that's in, we got the grub screws in on there. So for this piece sits in here like this. So this would be the armed position, disarmed, and then you push it down to move it. I'm so sorry, excuse me. Oh, and I apologize, I made a mistake. You do have to super glue this to this. So these do need to be super glued together, just like this. It doesn't matter which way this goes, at least super glued wise, it doesn't matter. It just matters when we go to put it in here which way it's going to go. So let me actually super glue these together. I apologize, like I said, I completely forgot that. You'd think I know that. I've taken this thing apart and printed it like probably 3 or 4 different times already. So let me go ahead and put a little bit of super glue on, put a little bit in the holes, and then put a little bit on the outside. And then we're going to take it and make sure it lines up just like that. So you want it to line up just like this. It's not going to be 100% perfect side to side. That's fine. You just want to get it together. Check down, make sure there's not any glue. I do see some plastic in there from the supports. Sorry if you can't see that. There is some plastic in there from the supports. We're not really going to worry about that too much. Once this is dry, I'll take the brass rod and I'll shove it in and out of there to clean that plastic out. Because that's really one of the better ways to do it. Because that's going to, that's where it's going to live. Sorry, my grub screws keep trying to run. I'm going to take them actually and put them over here. Because they keep moving too much. Plus, I need 4 of them for these to hold the brass rod in here in a second. I'll show you how to do that, which we're not going to tighten it up right away until we start getting the body put together. So that's holding really good. So just go through these pieces. You can see I put the grub screws in, or at least on that side, just to make sure those holes were big enough. Just go through your pieces, make sure they're pretty clean. You don't have to worry about it being like perfect. It's okay to have some imperfections. I mean, every 3D printed part, for the most part, is going to have some. Oh, let me put my cap back on. And these have a lot of give to them. Like Mark put, he put like a lot of tolerance in here, So these things, like I said, they don't have to be perfect, but they work really well. So for this, sheesh. See, they're kind of ugly, but they work. So what I do too is I take my tweezers and kind of shove them in there and let them do a little bit of damage. Blow it out. Do it a little bit up top. It ain't going to hurt nothing to widen that hole out a little bit. Ain't going to kill it. That's why we're using grub screws. So we'll actually use our brass rod now. Make sure it actually goes all the way through. And this is kind of stiff. But that's what we want. I'm going to take it and do it again. Make sure. Yeah, see, it got easier that time. We'll do it one more time just for fun. So that works out good. So what we'll do, because we are going to hide these grub screws to an extent, is we need to get them actually kind of set. So, Actually, you know what? No, we don't. Because we can start putting this body together, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm using 608Zs. These work just fine. They just sit on these pieces, which they're a little tight. It's actually quite a bit tight. Jeez Louise. Might need to trim that up some. Oh no, actually there it goes. I think it made it trim itself. Yeah, see, just using the parts on themselves is funny enough. Like one of the best ways to make sure the fit's good. So I'm just using this to kind of help get that loose and then pull it off. So if you were worried about it, which here I'll show you, I'll go get my tool. I'll go get my deburr tool and I'll show you what I mean. If you're worried about it, it's how to clean it up. So we'll take this deburr tool and, whoops, kind of bumped it. Everything good? Hold on, I bumped my table some. There we go. Okay, so you just take this on these flat spots is where it's going to be grabbing. So you just kind of burr them down. Not burr them down, I'm sorry. Just trim them down just a little bit. You don't want to do anything crazy. And then that will allow this to come on and off a lot easier. Yeah, see, look. Now it's like nothing. So I'm going to do that actually on this side too. So you don't have to go all the way to the base. Just go there, do a little trim. Do a little trim. Clean the tool off. See what I mean? How it just took a little bit off, and then this one will go. Yeah, see, that'll even go on and off on there. Perfect. Now you don't have to worry about any resistance. So it's actually a good idea to do that. Oh, but let's continue the build. This is the wrong one. I need this one. Sorry, that was the top panel. So 608Z bearing, push it in. It's not going to fit. It's going to come right out. That's fine. We're not worried about that. I don't want to super glue this in because you could get super glue in the bearing and screw it all up. So we don't want to do that. We will put our small bearings on here though, which these are all linked in the bombs in the description. So for this, you need to figure out which way it's going to go. You could build it like this, or you could build it like this. I'm building it like this, so I need to make sure that this side has this longer piece on, this longer screw, which I'll tell you what it is. It is an M3, I think by 20. Yes, it is. It's an M3 by 20. It's not going to touch the 20 on there because I have the washer. And then you need this 3D printed piece. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through here, and then we're going to attach it to this body, the bearing, the lower bearing body. Because what this is going to do is it's going to trigger the Microswitch when you arm your speed brakes. Oh, sorry, y'all. See, some of these holes are kind of a pain in the butt to get the screws started in, but once you get it, once it grabs, it's usually pretty good. So sorry if I'm not on camera. Apologize. Starting kind of. Oops. Let me get my T-handle. Oops. Sheesh. So we'll get this in. You don't want to push crazy hard. You want to give it a little bit and then let it, and then once it grabs, just let it do its thing. This one seems kind of crooked, but it should straighten itself out with the plastic. So we'll get this nice and snug. Again, these are just plastic parts. You don't have to, you know, torque it down like you're working on a car or something. So snug, a little bit. Whoop. Make sure your bearing moves, which that moves free. Perfect. We'll take our other screw. Here it is. And this is just this is just an M3 by 10 as well with a washer. And again, that's just to kind of spread the screws weight over, well, the weight and the force over the entirety of the body, of the bearing and the plastic. Just makes it fit better. You're not just having just the head of the screw be the entire piece touching. So to me, it works better that way. So we'll screw this one in. See what I said about how you need a lot of M3 by 10s? Get out of here. Sorry, y'all. I'm dealing with drain flies, and they are brutal. So we'll get this in here, snug and a little tight, snug and about a half turn. See that? It's kind of hard to see on here, but you can see that it's moving free. And the same with this side. That's moving nice and free. But here, I'll show you real quick. Oh, let me set it in here. So the Microswitch is going to sit right here, which I'll actually bring it over here. It's soldered to some wire, but I'm going to show you guys how to do all this as well. So it'll sit over here, and then when you pull up, which is kind of hard to do right now. Oh, I'm sorry, I have it up. Jeez Louise, y'all had it backwards. My bad. That makes it easier. So when you do it this way, see that? See how it locks in, hits that Microswitch? You can hear it. It's awesome, which you'll see it here in a little bit once we start getting it all together. It's really, really cool. Okay, so that's ready. That's good. Those are all nice and snug. That's nice and tight. We'll keep it laid like that. We will need... Oh, here it is. Jeez Louise, I didn't move it out of the way. We need to start working on this. So we'll put our pins in here. Oop. Well, actually, the pins can wait. My bad. I'm sorry. The pins can wait. But we need to start putting our grub screws in. Excuse me, in here. And we need to get it to where we want it. So what I do for this, you don't need anything crazy. We just need about this much sticking out the bottom. So about 5 millimeters if you want to be really specific. I'll measure it for you. Off the bottom of the pipe, oh sorry, it's about 6 millimeters, 6-7 millimeters off the bottom. That's about as far as you need. Whoops, I need to turn this way. So for that, I'll get this in. See now, see it's way too far. But you see, unfortunately, we can't reach the grub screws on this side with this like this. But this is all about positioning. So with it up, because it's where it's going to sit, we need to only have about 5 millimeters hanging, or 6-7 millimeters hanging out the bottom. So not enough. Just hold on to it, kind of, if you can. There we go. Give it a little bit. Ooh, I think I nailed that on that one. You can continue taking it apart. That's why we're not tightening or not putting the other side or anything on yet. Which, that's actually a little much. It's a little over. It's about 9. What we're worried about is when we put this in here. So we'll put it in here for showing. See how now? See, it's touching. So this needs to come up some. So we do have to take it apart and actually get some of it. Oh, geez, I went too far. See, it's kind of a pain when it's really tight, but you don't want it super loose either. There we go. So this is the best way to do it, though, to test, to figure out where you're at. So if we were to push down on it, yep, and then no matter what, obviously, what you're looking for, sorry y'all, what you're looking for is right here. See how mine's kind of chunky? Because the first time I built this, it was kept hitting, and I was like, what in the world is happening? So it's always going to sit up here. It's always, this is where the idle, geez Louise, the idle. This is where the untouched position is going to sit, is right here. And so actually I have quite a bit hanging out the bottom. So actually I'll tell you what this is. Hold on, it's kind of hard to do. So this is about 13.5, 14 millimeters from the bottom is what's hanging out when it's at its just neutral position. That's what I mean, neutral. And then when you push down, that's just pushing this outer body and then swinging it. It's going to lock back up, swinging it. It's going to lock back up, and then you push to do all this. So that's actually fine. Whoops, sorry. My bearing came out, which is fine. So let me pull this apart. I'm actually probably going to bump it just a little bit. It's hard to do, but just a little. Let's see if I can just do a little twist. Just a little twist down. And I'll double check it again. You're going to continuously check this until it's where you feel comfortable, where you like it better. Which, see, I like that a lot better. So that gave me a lot more room at the bottom there. So that puts us at, oops, sorry. Well, it's kind of hard to do, which I guess I could do it outside. It doesn't matter. So that's about 11, 12 area. Sorry if it's not in the camera. 11, 12 area out the bottom when it's all the way down here is where you want to measure from. So now we can take this out the last time. We'll see, with it being a little stiff, this isn't going to move up and down like crazy. But we still have to put these grub screws in. We need 4. 2 here on this top part, and then 2 here on this bottom part. So again, for this one, I had to drill it out, and then I ran my grub screws in just to make sure they would actually work. They do, thankfully. And we'll go ahead and get these snugged in. Which we actually might have to do a little more adjustment. Actually, you know what? Let's just we're going to double check everything. That's what we're going to do. So, let me put this back in here. I'm going to leave it in this position. And I'll show you what I mean by we're going to double check everything. So we're going to just leave it like this. That's all we need. We need this, which is the light box. Oops, I put it on the wrong way. It goes this way. It is already wired up, but I'll still show you how to do it. So it goes like this. So that's sitting up pretty high, which is good. That's what we want. And then we have our panels, which I'm going to show you guys a really cool trick in this video with these panels. I found something cool to give the this inner part a really good realistic look. So we'll go like this, and then we'll, not worried about that pipe, we'll just take this. Does that feel like it's up far enough? Which this metal pipe, which I've already painted, is going to sit on here, and it sits in the body down there. So let's see. See, it's going to sit up here to move the body. So what I'm testing is, see, I know where the top is. The top's going to sit about right here, which is where this piece goes in, right here, and then you secure it with the grub screws, and it just sits flush right there. So I'm just looking to see. The brass rod doesn't matter. It's just going to hide up in here. This piece is the main piece that's going to control this whole mechanism moving up and down. So, oops. So, oops, sorry, y'all. Jeez Louise. I'm just trying to see and verify if me having that brass rod out that far is going to cause issues. And it doesn't look like it. Nope. So, we're good. So, I'll take that and set that back over there. Set this down. All right. So, if you want to do that too, that's perfectly fine. If not, I mean, you can go based on what I just did. Whoops. So, that looks good. Woo! Everything falls apart until it's all securely together. So we will go ahead now and start tightening up these grub screws. Sorry for saying a lot. Apologize. But we'll go ahead and get all 4 of these in here and get these snug, and we'll put the pins in once we're in there. Nice and snug. Which this not going to be flush, and that's fine. It doesn't need to be. As long as it's in basically all the way. So these M3x6 grub screws, these are the ones to get for this project, the flaps project. They're like the perfect size in between, 3 and 10 basically, because they're right in the middle. Go ahead and get this one in. Get it nice and snug. That ain't gonna move, I'll tell you that, especially once we put these other 2 in. This thing is not gonna move, which is what you want. You don't need the brass rod moving, because it'll ruin the entire thing as you're trying to use it. If your brass rod moves, then it throws the whole mechanism off, because it'll start hitting down here and all that. And that's how I know how to put this thing together, was by trial and error. Whoop. I have to use this short side. Whoa. Yeah, watch out with your Allen keys. These things are like springs when they're under this kind of tension with some of these grub screws. So we'll get it in there. Get it nice and snug, and we'll put our fourth one in. Then we only have two more, which go at the top to hold the painted tube, which you don't have to paint yours if you don't want to. I did to give it a more realistic look, and I'll give you the measurements on that tube, on how far down I painted black and how far where I painted the white and stuff. Just so you kind of have something to go off of, you know what I mean? Let me get this one in. Right. Make sure this one's snug as well. All right. Whoop. So this is not going to go anywhere. So now, see how that clicks? It's so satisfying too when you do it, when it's all put together. It's so nice. Whoop. So let's go ahead and put some pins in, which you can do it like this. You can see through in there and just use your finger, or go to the side like I am and see where the pinholes are, and then just push down. And really, you want to use a tool. Don't use your nails like I just did. I'd say that in the last video too. So we're going to go to this side now. Do the same thing. Whoop. Which that one actually went in really good with just my hand, which we'll push down on this a little bit and push it in there. But you see how that sits in there? It just helps it from not spinning or anything, and it just gives it a nice look too. Nice guided look. It looks fantastic, and it's working great. So now we need this piece, which holds the spring and also gets some of these pins in there. So we'll put these two in, push them in, which they actually went in really easy as well. We'll check though with the Allen key. Just push them in. Which these are 2mm by, I think, 18mm. Yep, 2mm by 18, which I'll show you there too. They're a little loose in that too. Well, no, they're not. They're actually pretty good in there. Yeah, a little loose, but it's okay. But they are 2mm by 18mm long. Just little stainless rods. You will need a spring. Obviously, that's how this works under tension. This spring is, we're going to burn 10mm because my end on this ruler for some reason isn't that straight. So it's 33mm by basically right on 10mm. Yeah. Well, it's like 9. Yeah, 33 by 9. 9.1 or something. It's from a variety set, which pretty much all springs are from a variety set. So see, it's a long spring because you want it to give a good amount of pressure on here. But what I'm going to do before I put all that together is I'm going to put this other wall on, so that way we have some more support to hold all this together, because when we put that spring on, this stuff is going to want to, you know, push and move and go everywhere. So we'll put this other wall on. We'll put these two, which you can actually drop the spring off so you don't lose it. We'll put two, geez Louise, these flies, 2 M3 by 10mm screws in here. Get this in here. Which this one again I won't tighten until I have the other one in. Just that way you have, you know, the wiggle room. So we'll go ahead and tighten this in. And I apologize for the delay in the videos. But I have more stuff coming. I've been working on... oops, sorry, y'all. I keep feeling these flies hitting me in the back of the head. I apologize. I'm in my garage. This is where I work. Which it is an enclosed garage, but these dang flies are a pain in the butt, so... Snug that one. And then we will snug this one. Nice. Those are good. And you'll see what I mean. See that? nice. It feels really good too. So make sure you test it too, because you need to make sure you know, one, how it feels, and two, that it's actually working. Because if it's not, whoops, there's gonna be a problem. You're gonna have to take it apart and figure out what's wrong, what's missing. If you watch my flat panel assembly, you'll see how I had to trim down the brass rod, which I have done that for this one as well. It's just not as much as that one. That one just, I don't know, for some reason was being a pain, so I had to sand it down quite a bit. You can use some 120 grit. Is that one just going to shake out? Let's make sure these pins don't come out. Nope. It's holding in there. All right. Oh, it's because it was moving. Ha. All right. So, oh my goodness. Do I have that backwards? Because this one should be... Because if we put it like this... See, guys, everybody makes mistakes. If I put it like this... I want it to where I push down. It should stay up here, and I have to push down to go into position. Sorry, y'all. It's how it is, though, sometimes. Take these pins out so I can take this off. And flip it. Which I don't know if this is the correct way. Let's see. Because that'll put that pressure on there. Because... I know this thing only uses one spring. I feel like I'm getting confused by this part of it with this. This thing can be confusing. Nope, because see, then it can't do that. So, this is correct. Because it has to go like that to arm. So, man, I'm getting confused in my brain here. Sorry. So that's armed. Disarmed. Pushing down. Because I'm pushing the whole mechanism down. That is, I was right. That is correct to do it like this. With the spring and the top cap. Yes, sorry y'all, I was right. I got a brain fart and got confused. So how this works, geez Louise. So the spring does go up top here just like this. Because what it's going to do is it's going to keep it in that position, which is the normal position it sits in right here. Get off me, flies. Jeez Louise. I actually have to turn this around too. Okay, so that makes sense. I actually installed that backwards too. So this side needs to be up here. So this is how we're doing it. Okay, so now we can put our pins back in. I apologize. We're all human though. We all make mistakes. But that's the whole point of this video, so you guys can see I've done this thing like 3 or 4 times just for myself, just taking it apart and putting it back together, and I knew it was difficult for me a few times, so I wanted to share my knowledge with everybody to show you guys. But even then, you guys could see, even on camera, I was like, what in the world? And I had to figure it out real quick. But we did. We figured it out. Let me get these pins in here. Which, again, you can super glue these in. It's not going to hurt anything to do it. I don't, because I haven't seen the need to. I might when I start, more... what am I trying to think of? When I start... Jeez Louise, what am I thinking? I'm having a brain fart. When I start, building my pedestal and stuff, just to make sure nothing's going to come apart. Again, you're going to have to hold this down this time, though, with the spring tension on here. Whoop. You're just going to have to get it screwed in, one screw at a time. Once you get it going, though, it's pretty simple. It's easier just to kind of hold against your body a little bit. Be careful of that rod. And then get it as straight as you can. Get your screw going in straight. Oop. Where in the world? There it is. Gotta make sure you can see the hole, too. There it goes. It started. There it goes. It caught. See, it takes a little bit to get these screws started. I should have really ran them in and out before I started building this. That is a really good tip. I'm going to snug this one up pretty good, though. So I can still move it, which is what I need. I can't move it as much as I want, though. See what I'm saying about not doing it too tight? So just loosen it up. Now I can move it. So now I'm going to try to get one on the opposite corner on the other side, and then it's all start working in together. And I'll show you. We have access up here through these two middle holes to access the grub screws to hold our last piece of tubing together. Let me go ahead and get these in now. Got to do a little bit of pushing, just a little bit. And then once it grabs, kind of try to hold it straight. It's going to move on you just because, the screw's going to have a little bit more force. Whoops. But that's okay. We'll get it in. Get it a little snug. Make sure this is straight, and we'll put our other two screws in. So, whoops. Sorry, y'all. Accidentally hit the tripod stand. Sorry. I'm trying to make sure I keep everything really good in frame. See, that one kind of started on its own. Yeah, that did, actually. That was sweet. Sometimes that happens. We'll just go ahead and... Whoops. And it just cracked that plastic, but that's okay. As long as it doesn't come apart, which it doesn't look like it's going to. It looks like it's kind of all the way across, but we'll see. We'll just pay attention to it. It's not that serious usually. These PETG holds together pretty well. We'll go ahead and get this other screw in. Okay. Sorry, I was checking my microphone, making sure it's good. Get it snug. This side cracked a little bit too. There we go. So you don't want to over tighten them. I can see into that, so I'll probably reprint this piece just for my own liking. But, sorry if that was loud, geez Louise. For my own liking, but I do have another one right here, which is PLA, and it is cracked a little bit, but it's fine. I might just use that one later. But this is fine. So now we can actually test this. So you put it together, whoop, push it in. So you're not moving this brass rod, remember, that's staying in place. This whole piece is moving. So in order to use this, which I'll show you, we'll put that metal tube in here, you push down, and then, boom, see it locks in because that spring, boom, locks in, and then goes back to where you can't move it unless you push down. And then you push up, and it's armed. Ground spoiler's armed, disarmed. And then you push down, you can move it, boom, locks into the halfway point, boom, locks into full, half, and then locks back into its neutral point, and then armed and disarmed. So really cool, right? So I'll take it out now. That bearing's just going to keep coming out, but it's fine. And we will get our painted painted tube. So it's just a hollow tube, just like the bottom piece was, except I've painted mine the black and the white, so it just looks really good. This is, excuse me, jeez. So I'm going to burn 10 millimeters. What I mean by that is I'm just going to the 10 millimeter spot. So this is 94 millimeters long. Mine's kind of cut at an angle. The paint for black goes down 10, 20, 30, 46 millimeters. You know, it doesn't have to be an exact science, and then it's white. And the rest of this doesn't matter because it's going to be hidden inside the mechanism. So we'll get this on here. Whoop, maybe. And then we'll shove it in. And for this, see how I pushed down that spring just a little bit? See that? I'm going to bring it back up just a little bit by twisting it. There we go. You kind of want it flush with the bottom or a little bit down. Either one's not going to hurt because see the brass rod's in there. That's all we care about. We don't care about it being at the top. You could have it up more from the bottom, have it hanging out at the top. That's fine. This cap is way more than big enough to accommodate that. Which honestly, you really should not paint this top part. I'm going to have a little bit of a tough time probably getting that on. But that's okay. That was something that I did. Just trying to make this thing look pretty and look more professional, like a more professional built product. Whoops. Get this grub screw in. And oh, for these grub screws, make sure this Allen key, see how it's got just very little wiggle. Make sure that's all it's got. You don't want any more. Like the one I was using, which I figured out in the flaps video, I believe, was incorrect. See that? Look how much play that has in there. That's wrong. You need to make sure it's got a nice, snug fit. And we want to get this in there. Alright, that's nice and tight. And we'll get the, whoops. And we'll get this other one in here. Which, make sure, see I can actually see it in there. Because how it rolled, it kind of threw me off for a second. And we'll get this one in. Which the good thing is about these holes is it actually kind of keeps these grub screws straight and allows them just to go in where they belong. Instead of trying to go in all crooked. Let me get this shorter side in here. Kind of got to use my nails. There we go. Oh, jeez Louise. Make sure that didn't just, yeah, we're good. That's why having the appropriate size Allen key is important. If that was that smaller one, it would have just stripped it out probably. There we go. I'm gonna make sure this one's nice and snug too. It's not, doesn't hurt anything just to double check, right? There we go. Make sure it's in all the way. Yeah, whoa. Sheesh. Make sure it's, yeah, that ain't gonna move. Alright, so let's, what in the world just happened? Oh, I just lost a pin. Well, see, so I guess I will go ahead and glue that pin in. I'm just gonna put a messed up glue top. Looks like a creature. I'm just gonna put a little bit on the edges. Hold on, let me pull that off with my hand to throw it away really quick. There we go. Because this super glue will stick to your hand like no other business. So it should be good. You don't need a whole lot. Try not to get it on your hand either because it'll stick straight to it. Try to avoid the sides. Whew! And then go straight in. So that one was really loose. So it should be fine now. The super glue dries really quick. Okay, let's make sure. Whee! Why is that so tight? What in the world just happened? Oh. I think I over-tightened up my grub screws. Or is the paint causing it? Let's see. Might have to run it up and down a few times just to get that paint cleared out. Go all the way down, go all the way up, all the way down, all the way up. Alright, I went a little tight on my grub screws. That is something that definitely can happen. So we'll do that a little bit. You just want to make sure they're tight enough to hold this tube in, but not causing interference with the... Yeah, see, look at that. That instantly cleared that. Boom. Make sure it goes all the way down. All the way down. Boom. Oh, that one keeps coming out. Quit coming out! I'd have to go back and glue them all in. I haven't had to do it before, but that's okay. You just super glue them in there. Perfect. Tube wants to move a little bit. Let me give it a little bit. Now it's not. And we still move. It moved a little bit. Hold on. So you just got to play with it and get it to where the tube doesn't move, but the device still functions. That's a little stiffer on the device, but the tube doesn't move. Let me, you know what I'll do? I'll tack on this side. So I'll tighten this one up a little bit, and then I'll loosen this one up a little bit. Kind of balance it out some. Oh, geez, don't let it strip. Let's see what we're looking at. Oh, yeah. And the tube doesn't move. See that? That's what we want. That's beautiful. So now we can actually start putting this together. So that is 100% built. That is the entire mechanism right there. Now we'll put this on. Doesn't matter about the bearing right now. We can put it in, but it doesn't matter. But we will. Again, 608Z. Slide it right down in there. Holds perfect. Now we're going to take M4 screws. These are M4s by 16. And I believe... Oh yeah, so we need 3 of those. Sorry. And then you need an M4, again, by 30 for this L bracket that goes here. And you'll see why we need that and what it's for when we get to the end. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and put our body together with just the 3 M4s right now. Make sure none of that's going to hit. I need a different Allen key. I need a 3mm Allen key for this. Get this all screwed together. You don't want to overdo it because you'll strip your screws out real quick. We'll put these in. Oh, and these holes right here at the bottom, they're for wire guides. If you want to use them, they do come with his whole kit, or with his 3D there we go. 3D design for this. I don't use them because I'm going to wire all these together to, well, not together to each other, but to the Arduino Nano that I'm going to use on my park brake panel, which I am excited to show you guys that because that thing has been coming together great. It's a little bit to get it to go, but it's going to be sweet. So we're not going to put this screw in yet. So that's holding perfect. Let's do a test. Armed, disarmed. Ooh, yeah. Whoops. It's working perfect. It's not catching anywhere at all. See, it's not catching at all. So that is perfect. And the freaking little rod came out. So I'm going to have to go back. Actually, you know what? We'll just do it together. We'll go back and we will glue them suckers in. I'll pull all of them out and glue them all in. Just because I'll show you guys. I'll show you guys everything. I'm trying to give you guys the most comprehensive guide I can give you. Again, I encourage you to ask a lot of questions if you have them. Don't ever be scared to ask a question. No question is a dumb question. I mean, and that's for real. When people say that, and if they don't mean it, then they're just jerks, but I mean it when I say it. No question is a dumb question, because you don't know how all this stuff goes together if it's your first time building it. You don't know exactly what pieces you need, what's, you know, necessary and stuff. Let's go ahead and take that off. All right, let me get my super glue again, even though I just put it up. And we will, whoop, phew, you saw that? I used my belly to catch it. Try not to lose stuff. Get a little, just a, boop. I'm gonna go all the way around it. There we go. The reason I'm going all the way around it, kind of giving it a little bubble, is because these holes aren't perfect. Go straight in. And I want it to hold. So let me get my needle nose, pull it out, make sure this one's in. That's not even moving anymore. And the reason I'm doing this is because if I put a little too much super glue or I got it inside here, I don't want it holding this down. Even though if it did, you could just and probably break it. Not break the part, but break the super glue. Yeah, you try to avoid it. Do a little dollop all the way around, a little bit boop boop on the bottom. And again, see, it should look kind of like that. Kind of like a lollipop, right? Don't put it in your mouth, though, because it will super glue your tongue. I do not know that from personal experience. I'm just saying. The super glue sticks to skin like it's going out of style. So those are done. I'll go ahead and pull these down here. Which, even though these are strong, are in there really good, whoops, I'm still going to super glue them because we've just been having them come out. So we'll just go ahead and do these one at a time. Just do a little bit. You don't want it pouring out. Just want a little bit on there. Whoa, don't drop it. Let me go from the side. It seems to be the easiest way for me to do it, because I can kind of see the hole. Whoops, see, I touched the plastic. And then I shove that one in there. A little bit of super glue up here on my finger. We're still good. Put a little bit on this one. Just kind of roll it around. Transferring it to my other hand is kind of crazy. But I'm right hand dominant, so I do everything with my right hand. Push that one in. Use my ruler. Make sure it's all the way in. Everything is moving free. So, move over to the other side, which I'm pretty sure we super glued one of these. That one's not. No, we did, but it stunk. So, there. Take all 4 of these out. And we'll start with the top, though, still. We're still going to go top to bottom. So that one I didn't put enough on. See, it's not really glued. Well, obviously, because I pulled it out, too. Woo! Nice little dollop on there. Push up just a little bit. Shove it. Whoops, see, I got some on there and got it on my finger. Shove it in. See, there's a little bit in there now. Let me take a Q-tip and see if I can clean it real quick. See, it definitely got in there. But as long as this caught it, it doesn't matter. Because we can pull that out. Just use like our Allen key and kind of scrub at it. Get it with your fingers. So that one's in. We're still free moving. That's what we want. Let's do the next one. Boop. Boop. There we go. Got it on the end. Whoa. Yo, flipperino. Whoops. Crap. There we go. See, you gotta work at it. Gotta get it in there. That super glue and that plastic, man. Shoo, it dries quick. No, that's correct. A nice little lollipop. Oh, that's crap. I got it on my finger. I gotta hurry up now. Crap. Oh, see, I just glued my fingers together. You gotta be real careful. It's okay though, I'm okay. I ripped them apart real quick before it dried. Make sure all that's good still. Perfect. And then we'll get this last one in. And then we'll be done with the pins. Which you can do all this before I'm doing this. You can do this immediately when you get your parts together. Or I mean when you get done printing stuff, you can. Crap, that one I got quite a bit of glue. There we go, shove it in. So this, I'll rub it off with my finger. Whoops, sorry y'all. I just got my big old head in there. Make sure everything works still. We'll give it a few seconds to dry, which it dries quick. But see, these walls are kind of flimsy, which is good. You don't want it like being crazy. So just make sure everything's good. Make sure we can move the mechanism. And make sure we can go arm, disarm, arm, disarm. Nice. So now we can continue building. Let's put our super glue cap back on. So now those won't come out. Excuse me. Sit up for a second. Or adjust for a second. Okay. Now we will put it back together and start making progress on this. Or more forward progress, I should say. The mechanical mechanism is like the main thing you have to get right. You know, because that's how this whole thing works. Whoops, wrong. Yeah, okay, that's how this whole thing works. So if it's not working properly and it's not acting right, none of this is going to work right or act right. Screw that in. Again, these are M4, I think by 14. What are these? By 16s? Yeah, M4 by 16s. I apologize. That one in. Oh, it's already in. The long one goes over here. Get this in. Nice. Okay, so now we will take this little bitty wash that you should have printed and we'll just lay it down right there. That's where that's going to sit. And then now we mount our main gear, which double check your gear, make sure all your teeth are clean. You don't need like the whole thing to really be clean. You just really need your working area to be good, which this one has a little bit, but it's not anything that's going to affect it because this flat part goes up with this part. And then this lines up here, and then your our damper, which I have right here, and then our damper adapter goes together, and that sits over here to dampen the back and forth movement. So let me get this on. Make sure it's nice on there. Make sure it's all the way down. It's not. Go a little bit more. There we go. Woo! And I'm telling you right now, if I try to take this off, it's probably going to break this main part. When you take this apart, it's almost impossible. At least for every time I've printed. I mean, all my printers are calibrated. That is a pain in the butt to get apart without breaking this arm off on the main body piece in there. So you'll have to reprint it. Alright, which is why when I filmed the first time, this was the original gear in the vertical video. And obviously you see it broke. So now we're going to take our rotary damper. This is the one I'm using, the Bansbach Easy Lift FRT C2-201G1. Because this goes both ways. Some of these dampers only dampen, clockwise, counterclockwise, or both directions. This one does both. And we were going to secure it with these two M3 with a washer. Pretty sure by 8s. Nope, sorry, my bad. 6s. M3 by 6s with a washer. Again, the washer is on there just to spread the load of the screw. We'll get this started by hand because I've already used this damper adapter. And we'll go ahead and get this in here. Nice and snug. Not anything too crazy. And I hope everybody that watches this, I hope you guys are enjoying these videos, because I know these things are so satisfying once you get them put together. Like I plugged them in and temporarily wired them up just for testing and stuff, and these things are amazing to use. And we will take our rotary damper gear. It's got a flat spot in it, which lines up with this flat spot, and boop, push it on there. And then it doesn't matter which way it goes, because it dampens both ways. You just want to make sure the gears mesh, which they do. And we'll take our two M4 screws by 16 and get this thing screwed down. Use our bigger one. And I'm not using drills or anything on this, because you could strip this plastic like nothing, and then you have to start all over, printing all this stuff all over again. Because if you get this far and you strip this screw out, I mean, yeah, you could always drill it out a little bit and go up bigger, put a heat insert in and stuff, but if you crack it and it just shatters or whatever, and then you try to take this gear off and it doesn't come off, you know what I mean? It's a nightmare. So just do everything by hand. You know, we're not building wild, crazy stuff. So now that that's in, I'll show you how it dampens. It works really well. Ooh, jeez. Sorry, that's my bad. See that? It's nice and smooth now. Instead of it just slapping over there, it's nice and smooth. Beautiful. And that still works. Push down, boom, boom, whoops, boom, boom. Beautiful. Everything is working still. I like to check every time. Now for this is a 360 Hall sensor P3022-V1-CW360. If you mount it like this, it will not work in Mobiflight correctly, because it'll go one way and reset, and it'll go the other way and reset. You have to mount it upside down like this in order to get a full range of motion with this device and with the flap device as well. And these again are M3 by 10s. And what I like to do is, actually I'll use my Allen key, is I'll get it started. You don't want to just kind of leave it out of the way until we get to where we're going to tighten. Back it up some. These I don't have washers on. I just haven't felt the need to put washers on here, because this has this mounting plate with it. So now what you're going to do, sorry I turned my head instead of the body. See how it's not meshing? Now what you're going to do, which I'll set it down and do it, is you're going to gently push up like this and tighten your screws as you're holding it. So we're going to push it up just like this, just lightly. You're not jamming it. And then tighten the screw. Oh, that one's actually kind of stripped. I might have to get a longer one for that side. So I'll tighten this side. And then I'll take this one out and get a longer screw, because I've taken it in and out too many times in this PLA. Which, that's fine. It's the nice part about having other screw sizes. So we'll just go with a 12, see if that's enough, and if it's not, we'll go with a 16. But we'll go ahead and thread it in, which it'll feed right down the same path. And I did snug this one up, but I'm still going to put a little pressure when I get this one down here to just to make sure it's in place. So now that, oop, see, I pushed too much. I don't want to push a lot. I just want to get it in there. And now that one's snug. So you see that? See how it's meshing on this side? Nice and locked in. It's doing the same. Oops, sorry if my head's in the way. Doing the same over here. So now we'll verify. So we'll push down. And we'll just look at the gears and see how they're turning. Whoop. Some of my gears are a little chunky on this side. I might have to file them down. because it should be nice and smooth. Unless there's a chunky gear over here with the damper. No, I didn't feel it with the damper. I only feel it now. So, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take this off. And we'll look at our gears and see what's going on. And if anything, we'll just take a little file to it. And clean the gear up. There we go. Get it out of the way. So go ahead and unscrew this. Put these up there. And we'll look at our gears and see what is making it chunky. What I mean by chunky, it's kind of clunking along. So it was doing it up there. It was kind of doing it more over here. So something, oh, I'm sorry if my head's in the way. Something about these gears over here, which I can kind of see in there. So we'll take our little file kit. We should have one. No, I think it'll be this one. It should be like a kind of like a triangle. Yeah, that's what we want. See that? Because we want to have that little bit in there, and we'll see if we can get this filed smooth. Doesn't take a lot. We're just trying to make sure nothing's interfering. And what we'll do is we'll just hold the sensor in with our hand to make sure. Alright, let's see what it's like now. Try to hold it with our hand. Trying to go based on feel. Seems to be a lot better. Let's go ahead and put the screws in and see. It's kind of hard to do with just my hand. But that's why you also need to just make sure when you're printing this stuff, check your wheels. The problem with this wheel is, or this big gear, I mean not wheel, but this gear, when I was printing it, it did get a glob on it, unfortunately. That's the problem with Pet G, is it likes to stick to everything but the build plate sometimes. Sorry if my head was in the way. Just trying to look at the screw, I can just turn the body. So let me snug that. Snug that. The gears are meshing. That's fine. Right there, it keeps doing it. Well, y'all, let's see if we can get this gear off and put this silver one on. This is Pet G as well, but see, it's a lot smoother of a gear. Fingers crossed, Lord willing, we can get it off, because, man, if I break that piece, this video is about to take a little bit longer, unfortunately. Ooh, let me loosen this screw up. There we go. Just making this one tight to take off. Which I think I'm fixing to sub this 10 out. I'm going to sub that out for a 12. This 12 seems to be gripping a lot better. So, in order to get this gear off, it's going to take some patience. We get that out of the way and some time. Hopefully I can get it off without causing any issues. Actually, you know what? I do know a way, a better way. I'll try. I guess I'll bring the camera with me and I'll try to show you guys real quick what I mean. Well, I'll just show you here and then I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Or then I'll go do it real quick. So what I'm going to do is I have this, which is for my little stand that I'm using to hold my camera, but it fits right on here perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off, this body off. I'm going to take it over to my vise, not grip it, but just hold it over an open hole, and with a hammer try to get this off. So let me take this body off. Oop, maybe. Sheesh. These screws are holding good, which is good. If they don't, I can always go up again. So the nice thing is Mark built in a lot of, you know, tolerance and stuff with these pieces. Right. Last screw, and then we're going to walk over to the bench. Hopefully get this off without breaking stuff. Wish me luck. But we'll be right back either way. So let me take my hammer over here. So I hope this isn't going to be too loud for you guys. But I'm hoping this is successful. Let me get this right in the middle. Open up my vice grips a little, or my vise a little more. All right, there we go. It should be good. And I'm just going to gently tap it. I'm not going to, you know, He-Man slam it. Yep, it's already working. Yep, came right out. That's what I'm talking about. Nice. So now we can use the other gear, the other big gear, and it'll be a lot smoother. Let me double check, which I'll come over there and show you guys. Oop. Sheesh, this thing's kind of a tank to put back together. There we go. Oh, because my... Why is that not sitting down in there? Hold on, y'all. There we go. Just me. Alright, so I'm going to throw that gear away because it's junk. Alright. So it worked perfect. It just took a few light little taps. That's the only way I know to get those out without absolutely destroying this piece, which I'll show you. See? You can see where I had it, and it didn't damage it or nothing. So, now what we'll do is we'll see if this bad boy fits. Like a glove, you know what I mean? Come on now. All right. That's the victories we like to see, especially on camera. No, that's the victories that we like to see, period. That's what I'm talking about. I'm so happy I was able to get that out without breaking it and delaying this video anymore. Because I really wanted to get this out here so people can start getting their stuff built for their Airbus home cockpits. And if there's anything else you want me to do a tutorial on, let me know and I'll add it in, and I'll, you know, start getting everything ready for it. Just that way, you know, we can start building up kind of a schedule, I guess, of what I'm gonna do, and try to stick to it the best I can. I am working on a parking brake panel, like I said, that I'm gonna tie all of these into. So I'm really excited. Okay, it's still filming, sorry. It's recording, I mean. So I'm excited to get that out and show everybody that, because that thing is sweet. It's taken me a while to get it going, but we're getting there. I'm trying to finalize the back plate design a little bit more. Trying to just refine it. So everything just kind of fits and goes together good. Sorry, let me get these pliers out of here. Alright, let's mount this up. Remember, it has to be mounted upside down looking. And we will use the 12mm M3 by 12mm screws. I'm going to get a second one out of my box here in a second. Alright, we'll get that just where we need it. Alright, let me move my files out of the way. Which I just got those files on Amazon. You guys can get them from a hardware store and stuff. If you have one nearby. Or if not, you can order them from Alibaba and stuff. Just little needle files is what I think they're called. get this screwed in. And then we'll move on to the Microswitch and some soldering. All right, whoop, I went too tight. So we're going to push a little bit with our thumb, snug it, and snug it. Actually, you know what? We are going to put a washer on here. It does need one. I don't know why I need to do that on my other one too, because it's just kind of catching the lip. I don't want it to just catch the lip. I want it to catch this entire plate. So we're going to go ahead and add washers. We got the kit right here anyways. We might as well. We got tons of them. So let's see what it looks like with the washer. Oh yeah, look at that. So hold on a second. See how much that spreads out now compared to just being in that tiny little spot? Yeah. So we're definitely doing some washers. I'm going to go back and do some on my flat panel too. All right. So again, we'll get it down there. Push in. Snug it. We don't need to, we don't want to mess it up. All right. Now let's do this. Much better. Oh, yeah. Arm, disarm. All right. Let's mount our... Sorry, my eye is itching. Let's mount our Microswitch. So you just want a flat blade Microswitch. So I've already got this wired up because it's just going to jumper from the ground or the common on our Microswitch to the ground up here. So we just have one ground. And then we'll solder these two up, which will be independent for the on, off, on, off, on, off. And then we'll solder, obviously, the out here up and then the 5-volt VCC up on there. So you just take this, your little Microswitch, and we'll put it right there. And I will get my tiny little 2mm Allen. Oh, is that wrong? Oh, it is. My bad. I'm sorry. It takes this little one. I apologize. Which this is supposed to be like a 1.5, but this one is an SAE 1/16 inch, and I've noticed that it fits these screws a lot better and just nice and tight. So we'll go ahead and mount this with our two M2 screws with a washer, again, to spread the weight of the screw. Which I'll tell you again, these are M2 by 12. M2 by 12s with a washer. Let me get this where I want it. So we'll get this one down. I'm not going to tighten it. I'm just going to kind of get it a little snug. It's just like that. And then we'll start the other one. Make sure we're in the right spot. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. Perfect. So that one just kind of went in. So then, it's got that little platform for it and everything that lifts it up just a little bit so this engages better, which I'll show you here in a second how that works with it actually secured to the body. So now we'll get it tight. Not crazy. Tight. So now... See that? Microswitch on, off, on, off, on, off. Works perfect. Obviously this won't be in the way. But nice, huh? Get out of here. See what I'm saying with the flies? Beautiful. So now that that's done, everything mechanical is done. This thing is 100% complete as far as that goes. But now we need to do some soldering and get our wires all soldered up, which, like I said, this ground one already is because I've wrapped it through there, and then these are already together. So let me get my soldering iron on. and we'll get after it. Let me take a sip of water. It took more than a sip. I chugged it. Not all of it, but a lot. Whew. Man, I needed that. All right. So we'll get this. We'll get our solder, which I can actually use now and move because that pole was drying. Or that tube was drying over there. So we'll get some solder. I already have some on here, but I'm going to build this solder up some more because you really want to have quite a bit of solder on there. There, it's actually warm. Make sure it's tight. All right. So what we'll do is we'll heat these pins up, or not? Well, yeah, they'll heat these pins up, and we'll go ahead and get some more solder on there. It's going to take a minute to. Whoop! Don't touch the body. Oh, my bad, y'all. I keep forgetting this in every video. So we're going to turn on our fan, our exhaust fan with the filter to pull this smell away from us. And then we're going to build up some solder on there, just so we have a lot. You know, because these are very robust pins, so they need quite a bit. Whoa! Tried to keep my soldering iron. You saw that? So now we'll take our ground wires, and we'll solder them to the ground pin, which I'm going to try to do it through them. Well, I'll get it hot, and then that'll in turn, well, it just did, see? It just got them all hot. Whoop. Hold on, I keep touching the body of this thing, and I don't want to. There we go. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's going to see it. It's going to live in the pedestal. So that's good. It's nice, good contact. So now, this wire's not going to sit there. We're going to take it and feed it through these holes, because this is the speed brake. Whoops. So the speed brake's going to go on this side, which don't worry about this. We're going to zip tie these wires to this body, just so that way they're out of the way. See what I'm saying? We're going to put a zip tie, so that way it's out of the way. Never going to get caught in the gear. Because right now it has the potential it could get in that gear and then start cutting it. And we don't want that. So, I thought that moved. Alright, so we'll get that out of the way. I'm using blue wires for my Microswitch. And the reason I'm using blue is because it's my favorite color and it doesn't matter. I'm using them because that way I know what they go to. Blue goes to the Microswitch. White goes to my out for my rotary Hall sensor, and then red will go to the VCC, obviously. Because red is power, at least that's how I think of it. Green is ground, black is normally ground. I just got my new wire though, but I'm not going to take all that apart just for this. So, what we're going to do, I'm going to try to get this in the video. Whoops, sorry. I'll try to get it for you guys. So since I've already got solder on here, I'm just going to try to heat it up and shove this wire through the hole. So I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to work from the top to the middle. So let me go on this side. Try not to get too close to the plastic. Oh, see, it's already wet. Ooh. What I'm going to do also is kind of heat up that wire as well. And hold it till it cools. Nice. So see, whoop, geez, see, it doesn't take much to melt the plastic on there either. So let's clean our iron. Let's get our other wire. Hopefully you guys can see all this, I believe so. Try not to touch your iron like I almost just did. Hold it back there, you'll see it start to turn liquid. You see, you can kind of see it. Oh, there we go. Whoop, hold on. Hold on. There we go. Kind of push that up against there more too. And then just hold it, even if it burns a little bit. There we go. Until it's solid. Let me put my iron up real quick so I can route these wires. For these wires, I was thinking, whoa, geez Louise. Scared the crap out of myself. These can actually come this way as well. So that way you kind of have everything going one way. Let me get that through. See if I can get this other one through. If anything, just go through with your finger. Kind of guide it. There we go. Maybe. I thought... Yeah, there it goes. Alright. I was like, I thought it was in there. So, we'll route them on this side, because that's nothing but flat, smooth plastic. And there we go. So now that's all hanging out. We'll lay this down. Which this wire is too short to get in any kind of trouble. It could never get anywhere. These aren't going to get caught by anything, which actually, to help ensure we prevent that, they can route up this way. So that way they're nowhere near the switch or anything. Oops, let me get... Yeah, there we go. There we go. Which, like I said, we'll just use some zip ties here in a second. Now we'll take our white wire and we'll use it for our signal. Basically, it's our signal wire. It's actually literally what it is. It's just a signal wire. We'll get it in there. Let it... Alright, there we go. Let it get hard. So the solder's not liquid still. And now we'll do our VCC. And... see how long it can stay liquid for? Boom, then they're caught. But that's why you just got to be patient with it. So now we will feed these two through as well. Maybe. There we go. Alright, I'll show you what I mean when I say we're going to zip tie this stuff. We're going to zip tie it all. So, here's my little zip ties. Which we can actually just kind of zip tie them to each other. Which might be good enough, because they're zip tying them up here. Oh, yeah. Actually, there we go. So we'll just zip tie them like that. Make sure it's not too tight. You don't need to go crazy with it. Take some flush cutters. The reason they're called flush cutters is because they cut flush. They have a smooth back. They're not, lopsided or anything. Gives it a nice smooth cut so you don't slicing your arm up if you ever worked on a car and stuff, you know what I mean. So there we go. Now it's all wired up. This baby is ready to go. So now I'll show you all of it. We'll put it all together because this is permanent. I'm not taking this apart. I will not take this apart again, hopefully. So now we'll take our longer M4x30 with the L bracket and we'll screw this in. But I'll turn this off, sorry. We'll screw this in. Maybe. There we go. Get this in. I'll show you why this L bracket is here. It's actually really pretty genius, honestly. Whoop. Maybe. Jeez. Sorry, not maybe about that, but... Alright. Oh, jeez. Nice and snug. Let me get my Allen key. Alright, these are kind of moving one-sided heavy. Obviously, there's a lot over here. So, what that's for is for this. To make room for this, which that's actually a little crooked. So these keep coming out. I'm going to super glue them in. Because the adhesive on there just is not great. Clearly, because they keep coming undone. So I've already soldered these up. Just simple 12 volt, 3 pieces of cob LEDs. The reason I use cob is because it diffuses the light from the jump. And it just looks so good. Now for these, what I did was I put a piece of tape on there. The reason I did that is because this green and red looks like this green and red. So why is that a problem? Well, this is LEDs. That's not. I don't want to put 12 volts to a 5 volt sensor. So I marked this with a piece of tape to know which one's the LEDs. So that's how this is going to sit. And this will shine up. And there's another piece. Here it is. So this is to shine up through here. Oh, hold on, y'all. Sorry. Through here, like this, to light up the markings and the ground spoilers armed and stuff. Which actually, I just thought about that. I really need to put some LED across there. So I will show you guys that because I need to undo that and put one across there for this. for the ground spoiler's arm part. And then we'll solder it together. So that sits like that. This little box goes underneath here on the bottom panel only. You'll super glue it in and it'll shine up and light up speed brake. So this all just sits together, whoops, like this. And it's just one beautiful unit. And as you can see, when we push down halfway, sorry, my hands are moving, so it does line up halfway full, halfway retract, and then, which my white is actually a little high, so that is on me. Boom. Now you know it's arm though, because it's super high, versus it being all the way down here. But I wanted to show you guys something really cool that I found to give this that Airbus look. So this, let me get that out of the way for a second. This is what's called self-stick brush pile weather seal. It's a little long as far as like the, hold on, I'll show you as far as the length, I mean like this length going this way, as tall as the bristles are. So this is too tall. Now what you have to do is cut this in half after you cut out your pieces. And I'll show you on the flat panel, whoops, hold on, my wire's getting stuck, how it looks. See how much easier that is on the flat panel? You just have 3 wires. So this flat panel, these arches are going away. That's why I put this in here as a test. See how that looks? I'm going to do it more up here too. But let me just, hold on, let me get this on here for you. And it does fit. It's just being stubborn. See, it is tight. But you see that? Look how good that looks. And then, whoop, hold on. I got to hold it in place. 1, 2, 3. Well, you see how it gives that look? I could probably trim those each down a little bit more, because you really just want them kind of touching each other, because that's just to prevent, light bleed and stuff, and to prevent anything from getting down in there. But you see how good that looks? It just really adds that detail in there to these panels, in my opinion. Just really adds that Airbus detail to it. It looks so good. So I just wanted to show you guys that. It's something cool that I found out. So what we'll do for this is, since these two panels, I'm going to probably glue these two panels together once I get the screws in there. So what we'll do is we'll take it and put it in here, and we'll just go from, up here to down here, and it flares out enough. It should kind of cover all of this. And like I said, you just have to trim it down with some scissors. Literally just cut it down with some scissors until it's just like barely touching each other. So that way the tube and stuff can go in and out. It, run through there smoothly. A lot more smoother than it did with my, with my flat panel. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was working on the speed brake. So we're gonna fix this. So thankfully these aren't glued down, because now I can just take them out. I'm not gonna pull them all the way out. I'm just gonna pull some wire through. I'll take these apart and I'll get another piece. Oops, sorry y'all. I'll just get, did I scratch that? No, I didn't, thankfully. Okay. Sorry, just making sure my panels aren't scratched. So we'll just do, you think 1 or 2? Let me see what I can fit up there. If I can fit 2, we're going to do 2 just to cover our bases. Yeah, looks like we might be able to. It's going to be tight. We're going to find out here in a second. Because we want it to, you want to fill that space as much as you can. Oof. It's a little tight. So what we'll do, because you have room to play on these, so what we'll do is we'll just cut both of these down. We'll just solder here in the middle. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. So we'll cut those down and see if we fit. Oh, like a glove. So now we got that. Now we're covering that. And like I said, we'll just solder to the middle. So we'll shake that out. We'll cut these wires in half and we'll just solder to the middle. So we'll just kind of catch the halfway point. Get our wire strippers. Get these stripped. And what we'll do... Oh, hold on. Dang it. Get out of the way, red wire. Sorry, y'all. I accidentally hit the stand. Or the tripod stand again. Alright. So what we're going to do... Oh, I got to stand up for a second. An hour and 45. Alright. So let me get that one. Then we'll trim the wires on this one. Sorry, y'all. I need to get a more comfortable stool for out here in the garage. I'm just using a cheap Harbor Freight one. And it makes my butt go numb after a little while because it's just uncomfortable. There we go. Sorry, more wire is better. You know, you don't need a ton of wire, but it's not going to hurt nothing. So now what we'll do is we'll get this twisted. Let me sit back down. I'll pull this back through just a little bit. Well, actually, I'll pull this one back through pretty much all the way. Because what I want to do is I want to see, at least get it in there somewhat. Because I gotta solder these together on these pads. So, I'll tin these wires real quick. So I'll turn my fan back on. And I'll tin the pads, and get them ready. Get that excess solder off. Whoa! That solder flying off, to clean that in a second. There it goes. Just dump it. Dump it out! Alright, let's tin these pads. Positive up here. That's the cool thing about these LED strips is as long as you get power to it, power and ground, it doesn't really care which side you do it on. Or which pad you do it on. I will say this though, these little copper pads on here are not the best. They eventually absorb the solder, but man, they take their time. Get off! Alright, so now we have got to try to get all of these wires together. So we need red, red, black, black. So this red, see, they're going to crisscross now too. So I might actually want to do it like this. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and pull these wires off. Pull those off. And then we're going to solder down here. Whoa! Uh-oh. Alright, let's get these pads tinned. Let me hold this with my pinky. Eventually it'll melt. Hold on. You know what I'm saying? These little copper pads are kind of a pain in the butt. Today! Holy smokes, I'm gonna melt the plastic underneath. Sheesh! So we have to go in from the back to get it to hold. Oh my goodness. Sheesh. See how much freaking solder went in there? Look at that, and it did melt the plastic a little bit. Sheesh Louise. Soldering is not fun sometimes. It's a pain in the butt. Alright, I'll do this. I should have just done it out here in the first place. I'll do this out here. Whoop. Okay. You gotta just hold the wire in place. Get them to melt together just like that. So it's definitely a patience game, I'll tell you that. So melt them together. Oh no! Shoot. Hold on. There we go. So we're getting there, you know. It's a process. Alright, so now kind of want these to sit where they would kind of be mounted. So that way when I do this, which I will take this off, just stick it on the edge up here so that way I can actually get, so I don't have to hold it with my hands. There we go. And again, once I get this done, I will, I'm actually going to just super glue these into here. Whoa! Alright, so try to get the negatives together and then the positives. It's probably going to be a little tough to do this. If I can grab that end of that, there we go, we might be able to do it like this. Nah, it's not going to work that way. We're going to have to... Oh, it actually did work a little bit. Ooh. Okay. So we got one wire. Let's see if we can, just with some pressure, hopefully... Yep. Nice. So we did that. Now for the positive wires, we're gonna need to kind of go over the top. I might actually have to cut some different wire to make it kind of go this way around, so it's not going over the cob. So we'll cut some longer wire. Let's see, do I have any up there? Looks like I do. That's why you just save your little pieces if you can. Obviously not everything is salvageable. Which I might hit it with some green, but we'll see. I might have enough with this. So what I'm thinking is from there to kind of go around to up here. So actually, yeah, that's going to take pretty much all of that. Cut it a little short. Get our wire strippers. Get us some length on there. We'll tin both hands, geez Louise, we'll tin both sides. And then we'll see about getting this all hooked up. There we go. Ooh, got a little bit. Alright, let me pull this wire. Out of here. Put this wire in its place. Which I'll actually lift this up some. Let me pull it up out of the way, or up out of the there. Because what I want is a good, stable-ish working area. There we go. So now that's in. Pull that back down. Kind of push it back down to where it's going to go. And then we'll just lay one side in here. And then we'll do like we did with the negatives. We'll just lay the other one. Sorry if my head's in the way. We'll lay the other one right on top. Beautiful. Let me unsolder this one, or desolder. Just pull it off. Those we can save. We might use them for something else. And now we'll measure this one. There's my cutters. They're literally right in front of my face. So we'll go from there. So. Always cut a little extra, don't hurt nothing. You always want to have more than not enough. Trim that off. Trim that off. Tin both sides. And we'll be done. Basically, once we get this all soldered up. Give me a little bit. Get that off there. Alright. You know what? Let's start up here. Well, I need to flip it this way so I can work with my hand. Right, we're just gonna hold this. Kind of do a little bit of pressure from the bottom. Try not to, oh! So try not to burn yourself as I did. So we're almost at the melt where, I mean, this should melt pretty quick. Just being stubborn. Typical soldering, it's just stubborn. Oh, dang it, and then that one flicked off and hit me with some awesome solder. Let's see, we might use our helping hands on this one. It's not being as gracious as the other one. I just really need this to sit like that. And for that to sit there. Because then I can just put the pressure that is not a good solder. Hold on. It's kind of a pain in the butt sometimes doing this. I don't like that, especially for 12 volts. Hold on. See, sometimes you gotta kind of do what you gotta do with your hands. Oh, and then it came off. And it just absolutely burnt my fingers. We'll get it, y'all. We will get it. Sheesh, we get one side and can't get the other. I need 3 hands on here. By the way, these wires are getting blistering hot. Come on. I need to tin my wire. I need to freaking tin my my iron. Ooh, my iron tips so it quits acting like that. Man, okay, that's good. Enough. Good lord, that just burnt the crap out of my fingers. Let's pull this through and solder this sucker down and call it a day on that. Whew. This is how it should have went. It should have just been so simple like that. Which maybe I guess down here it will be. I don't know. Let's find out. Because I'd like it to be just a lot cleaner than that. Some of these wires, though, are absolutely... You know what? That's good enough. It'll hold. It ain't gonna... You know, it's not gonna spark or nothing. We're not putting a crazy amount through here. It's just 12 volts. A couple little amps. Milliamps. Okay, let's make sure everything I just did wasn't in vain. Sheesh. Gotta freaking try to get these wires through. There we go. I want them to go out the way they're laying. So let me pull it, not to the side. Not to the side. There we go. Alright, I know this is kind of funky looking, but that will actually work, and it will look good, because that wire's out of the way. Whew! Alright. So we will not super glue this until we do some testing. So I'll connect it to a 12 volt jack and we'll make sure all this is going to work, which I believe it will. So there we go. So now we got the bar across the top, so now it'll light up all of this. So just light up just like that and just whoom, shine all the way through and look really good. So before I didn't have that up there, so the ground spoiler's arm wouldn't even have been lit up. Now it will be. So that looks great. And actually, for the fuzz, not the fuzz, but the brushes, we might put them, we actually might put them down here on this plastic. Just super glue it in right here. Or should we put it up higher? We might just, yeah, I might just do like what I was saying earlier. I might just put it up here. Yeah, because it'll look better, I think, up here. Right here, kind of blocking a little bit more of that white. That'll be okay, though. That'll look really good. But that's it for soldering on here. I know it took a little bit. It took me longer than I thought to do the soldering, for sure. Sometimes, though, doing those wires together, I probably should have just twisted them together. But with the way I had to lay them out, I don't know if that would have worked well, and I didn't really want to try. Just because there's not really a point. As long as you can get it together, it's good. But that's it for this. That is the speed brake now. All ready to go. All ready to wire up to an Arduino. And just ready to get after it, y'all. So that's really cool. I'll show you the wiring up another time, because this video is already 2 hours long. So hope you guys enjoyed. It was a lot of fun for me. All these videos are a lot of fun for me. I'm really enjoying doing them, and I hope you guys are getting a lot of benefit from them. So thank you. I will show my park brake panel here soon. I'm very close. Like I said, I'm just doing some final cleanup and iterations and everything before I publish it and start coming out with it. But thank you guys. Enjoy.